our felling portion. I'm going to be back down here in the woods. Group of pine trees cleared for their storage facilities, and so we have the ability to come in here and take these down, lay out some good storm situations, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting for the folks today. About 10 people in the class, so dropping about 10 trees, a couple larger ones and mostly smaller ones that we can be able to crisscross. Tomorrow be able to plan out and do some pressures and binds. Got our first aid station. Neat little Tim's tips that a guy shared with me. He said take a piece of starter rope, or in this case I've used a bootlace, and just take and loop it around your belt. You can tie it to your fuel can, whatever, and with your scrinch you can be able to take and feed that through. Just tie the knot at the end of it, feed that through your scrinch. Now you can loop that around the screwdriver portion and you're ready to go. You won't ever have to be looking for a scrinch. You know exactly where it is. My saw filter here real quick, making sure I filled everything up with gas and oil. It's all ready to go. Filter wise, I cleaned it pretty good the other day, but you can see there's still some dust that it picks up. So I'll tap it out throughout the day, and then when I get home I'll use some compressed air from the inside out. As long as you see light through everything, you're in pretty good shape. So this one's a pretty clean filter. Makes a big difference to get the proper air to fuel ratio on the chainsaws to make sure that air filter is clean. Sharpened up the chain yesterday after I finished my demonstration, so I think we're in pretty good shape there. Just wait on everybody to get here. We'll be ready to start. Really nice hinge on this tree, just a little bit too thick on one side, but I want to show you that it slid down this one little sapling that was here, but pretty much right in line with where it was aimed to go. This one, nice hinge, pulled a little on the corners, as you can see here. This tree went in line with where it was aimed. Perfect hinge on this one, exactly what he called, and more or less it went exactly to where he had it aimed. This one, the hinge, not too good. Matter of fact, he went through and he cut this whole side off of the hinge. Hinge here tapered down to nothing, a little bit past half of the diameter of the tree. And you know, people talk about all the time, well, I want to hold more over here and I'll bring that tree around, you know. But the bad thing about that is the number one injury is struck bys. When that tree starts to move, things happen. Butts can rebound, butts go to the side, things fall out of the top. So you really don't want to be standing there when this tree starts to move. You want to escape your planned escape place or escape route. You know, when we start to think about here, even if we look at this tree, it still went back to the front line of his hinge placement, or to the direction he had it notched. And so a lot of times people think, oh yeah, I'll pull it over, but that really can't work, and sometimes can be a big detriment because you end up with side weight that's going to sit over on your saw as it starts to go, and plus two, it can spin if you've got, you know, too much of that hinge missing. The key there is also the face notch. Is that if you look in this case, the face notch was probably not quite 70 degrees either. And so it could have been a combination that could have caused some steering difficulties here, but still the weight of the tree. And this tree, the information showed us that it was pretty much straight. In other words, the side lean was almost center to the trunk, and the back and forward lean was almost center to the trunk. And it was it had to be lifted because basically the actual pivot point of the balance was behind the hinge, and so we had to get a wedge in that picture. And especially it was critical because we got the wedge in here to help support that side so it didn't set over. Trying to hold more fiber on one side or the other, a lot more predictable to have a nice straight hinge across and take that tree where you want it to go. A really nice setup for tomorrow's storm cleanup. A little spring pole action here that they'll be working on. If you look at this one again, and that tree went right to the target. Perfect shot. The hinge is your friend. Well, I don't know about today. You can probably hear in the background there's some thunder and lightning rolling. And about 7:30 now. They're supposed to be here for start at 8. But it looks like this thunderstorm ridge has set in, so I don't know. Probably going to have to wait it out a little bit today. But we'll see what happens. It's pretty wet out here.
It ain't on the ground over here. Well, it's not on the ground, one thing. The compression is going to be on the top.
No, think about it. If it's off the ground over there, what is it going to do when you cut it?
Okay, it will be the bottom.
Yeah. So your first cut is always on the compression side. And then you finish on the tension side. That way it's always open and away from your chain. See if it's up in the air, see if it's on the ground, see if it's supported. So you always look for that. So that basically is a cut on the bottom and then an overcut, isn't it, of some type. If you add more than, 2 or 3 feet to lower that down, sometimes you will in storms, then basically you put a slide notch on the bottom, overcut, allow that side to hit, and then you cut your hinge off of it and it'll drop down. So what are you going to do right there?
Right here, I'm going to do my cut up first.
Okay.
And then we'll finish with the cut up. One leg.
Okay. So that's the offset. Now, all you have to do is just bypass your first cut, right, and your second cut bypass, it's done. As soon as that loader hits it, it pops apart. We're at the Meridian Public Safety Training Center. They have their own train, damaged truck and car, where they can practice. We're going to be practicing some chainsaw tomorrow here. We have about 20 coming in, 1-day presentation, and we'll be here till about probably 3 o'clock tomorrow.